Hi, I am joined here today by the absolutely lovely Jess, who performs as Serendipiti with an I, not a Y. And we're here today to ask some questions about your new song, your music vibe, and other great things about being a musician in the lovely meanjin community. So,
Hello, thank you so much for having me. So exciting to be chatting.
now, first off, your latest single, which is actually only your third song, that was crazy for me to realize. It feels like you've got like such a body of work behind you, but you're actually still starting off, which is amazing. But that new song came out only a few days ago on Wednesday. Could you tell us a bit about the story behind the song at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So it came from a really raw, very intense emotional period of my life. I'd been if you've heard Distance, the song before, it was like chapter one. It was this beginning of a long distance situationship that I started and kind of up to chapter two. So it's what happened. It was at the end of the 2 year situationship, when I kind of just like sat, I think it was the end, or maybe it was the middle of the end. It was nearly the end.
Close
When
enough.
I Yeah, the end enough. One of the ends, if you will. When I sat down and I basically realized what an absolute mess it was, and it was kind of weirdly therapeutic to put it on paper and go, oh my gosh, this is not healthy. um, and yeah, it was just my way of like processing everything that had been happening, realizing how fucked it had been to both of us, and how emotionally intense, and yeah, making sense of that. It's got my whole heart in it. It's like all the love and all the things that were never said, um and all the heartbreak all smushed in together with, yeah.
That's the best way to have it, a bit all together.
Yeah.
And one thing that really captures me is at the very start of the song, we hear like a little voicemail, a little conversation. Is that a secret? Is that something we can hear more about?
Okay, so funny story about the voice memo. So initially I had a little voice memo from this mountains trip that we'd taken together. It's like my favorite thing to go camping. And I was like in the mountains with someone I loved. It was blissful, like best thing ever. We're eating these incredible apples fresh off the side of the road. And it was just this little voice memo that it was like a Snapchat or something that I sent to my friend, or some little video, um, being like, hey, this is really good apples, like freshly picked. Anyway, um, I put that in the song because it was from a really special point of the relationship, and I wanted it to be like capturing the magic. Then I realized I like chatted to a lawyer at some point, like at Big Sound, and she was like, "You probably should just double check that he's okay with that being." And he'd said he was okay while we were in the relationship. But I sent a little message. I was like, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Do you mind if I use your voice in the song?" He was like, "No," very validly. So the one that you hear today is actually an exact recreation. Me and my mate, who's my producer, Brian Butcher, we got in the car and we listened to the voice memo like 3 times, and then we like learnt the words and we recreated it.
I love that
So
so much.
put the whole release back like a whole month because I was in Scotland when we realized this, and I had to come back and re-record the voice memo so that we weren't going to get sued.
Look at you go. You're not getting sued.
Yeah,
You don't have to give that money to anyone else for the use of their voice. You get to
no.
keep everything.
Everyone said they want to be in the song. So it's really funny.
I love
Anyway,
that.
so that's the fun behind the scenes. Not everyone knows that about the beginning of the song.
I love that. And you mentioned before how like therapeutic it was to like write down and actually come to the realization like, oh my gosh, like the clarity after everything. How how can you be so open with your music? Your lyrics are so confessional. It's like you're sharing pages of your diary with the whole world, with the whole internet. Is this something that like helps you process everything and like you look at it when you're in like a better place, a clearer headspace and go, yes, I'm happy to share this? Or is it like terrifying to be so honest and raw with your audience?
So terrifying. It is so terrifying. I was saying to someone earlier today, it's like I actually can't think about it too hard, or else I'm just like, oh no. Like the thought that just like the people that I meet in the street, my co-workers can hear my whole breakup story.
Oh
Like even some
gosh.
being like, yeah. I Yes, it's terrifying. I can't think about it too hard, but it's special because it's what I've always wanted to do with my music, is be super honest and authentic, and yeah, create a platform that where people can like feel exactly what they're feeling, or just be honest with exactly what is happening, which can sometimes be highly confronting, not confrontation, confronting. Um, but that's kind of what I want to. Also, it's like I like to push my own boundaries a wee bit sometimes. It's like sometimes from a slight discomfort of like being so emotionally vulnerable. It's like that can be rewarding in a way, because then it can, like I had a message from a friend this morning being like, hey, like I haven't been like, she'd been having a really hard time, and she was like after listening to the song, I was like able to cry for the first time in ages, and like I'm really grateful for that. So like it's like that, it makes it feel worth it when things like that happen.
Yeah, and like you realize people are connecting with your own personal story so much. It must be
Yeah,
so magical.
it's really special. I'm very grateful that people connect with it. And it's just my hope that it might help them to connect with their own stories. Do you know what I mean? You know how sometimes a song about
Yeah.
something else can help you like understand your own thing? That's
Yeah.
my hope.
Even if it's like not like a mirror of what you're going through, it's just like, oh my gosh, how does this person like they're inside my head, they know what's going on.
Yeah. Even
Yes.
if it's just like one line, even if like the rest of the song doesn't make sense, but it's kind of fucked, there could be someone being like, wow, something is kind of fucked, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like, oh my gosh, now I realize it.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Now, one thing I've always admired so much about your music and even your live performance, like I saw you earlier this year, just an acoustic set by yourself. It was purely magical. Like everything you do, it's so transportative. I'll sit down, like put my headphones on and be like, okay, I'm gonna like study, I'm gonna do something with the music in the background. And it just stops. I'm like, this is magic. I'm in a different world now. It's so beautiful. Like your lyrics are so real, honest, and raw, but you've got this like beautiful sound to it. Your voice paired with the instrumentation. How do you go about making music this way? Do you just start with the lyrics and then like add some fairy dust and you've got the magical end product? Do you work with a team to curate this vibe? How's your approach to it?
Firstly, oh my God, that means so much. The way I was about to cry when you said that, because that's everything to me. That music to me is the way it makes you present. Like that's
Mm,
literally from like when I was like 12. I remember having conversations with people about that, like how music is a way that brings you into the moment. So that means
mm,
so much that it helps me to feel that. I thank you. I wow. Um, but secondly, the process is very much like I write acoustically first, so I sort of
mm,
generally sit right there on my bed with my guitar. Normally in the evening when the sun comes through, it's like my favorite
mm,
thing to do. I love my
mhm.
room. Um, I sit there and I'm like, what am I making sense of here? And I've normally got one of these little notebooks right here and a pen. I love these ones because they're flicky. You can kind of get rid of a page if you don't want to
Yeah, don't like
put it
that
in.
one. Start
Yeah, I'm
again.
like, enough of that. Let's go to the next thing. But also you can tear it off. You can have two beside each other. Very
Mm,
strategic. So I do that, and then yeah, once I've got the song like that, I work with my friend Brian at the moment, Brian Butcher, on production, and we make a really good team of like, we sort of like, I'll have the ideas, and he's really good at making them sound like what I'm like, I
mm.
conceptualize sort of like, I'm like, I'm looking for this sound, and he's like, yes, here is a synth that sounds like that. And I'm like, great, yes, and that's when we get in that all the sparkles and. I've got like quite clear reference tracks, or at least like artists that are really inspire me that I want to sound like, um, and I'll usually bring in like one or two of those songs and be like, okay, let's get a song that ends up feeling like this, and layering, and then we layer. I just love layering, and sprinkling all the sort of ear candy and just like sparkle sounds and harmonies, so many harmonies. But yeah, that's kind of the process, and then we build it up to feel nice and big, and or even if they're the small songs, I like for it to feel big in the small way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Kind of
like,
like yeah.
and I've seen sometimes you perform like you bring out people in like choir groups and stuff. Like that's so magical. That's something you don't really see. Like when you look around the scene, you've got a lot of rock bands, you've got a lot of like pop duos or something. You're out here bringing like a whole like folkloric, forest type vibe. Oh, it's amazing.
Thank you so much. I love my little I love yeah the band I'm playing with my little guys. I've got a cello and electric guitarist and my little choir. And it's so much fun. It just yeah, I love performing with them. And they bring yeah, like writing the arrangements that from the tracks themselves and then taking them to the live setting is I just love it. It's so much fun.
That's so special. And on that note of like collaborating with others, working together in a team, I'd love to ask who are your favorite people, artists, bands right now in the local scene, whether it's people you've worked with, people you admire.
Yes, oh my gosh, I have literally like 150 on this list.
Yeah.
The meanjin music scene is literally the best ever. I love it.
Hmm.
It's such a beautiful community. Okay, where do I start? Um, I feel like I need to have these written down on a notes folder somewhere
I
so that
know.
when people ask, be like, look,
It's always the
they're all
way
my
you're put
friends.
on the spot. Yeah, you put on the
Literally,
spot and it's like, I've forgotten everyone I listened to.
right, all of them. Yeah. Okay. Well, I love Niche. Niche's music is
Mm,
incredible. And we write together sometimes. I love her a bit. And Madison Kate, she's one of my closest friends, and she has such a like ethereal songwriting style. Um, then we've got Dublin Rose is another really good friend of mine. She's a gorgeous soul. Um, and Hazel May and Pippin and oh, so many. Who else? Sienna Larson. Uh, there's literally so many. I've also
mm.
been loving Dizzy Days. They are literally so much fun live.
Yes.
Um, and oh man, I need to consult my list. I'm like, who are all of my friends? Amela is amazing. Um, just literally the music scene in Brisbane. All of them
Yes. Oh my
are amazing.
gosh. And like so many of the artists that you've mentioned just then carry such like I don't want to say similar because everyone's style is so unique in their own ways, but such like magical qualities to their music. It's not just like there's your base level pop where it's just like, okay, pretty good. And then there's just that level above where it's like transportative. There is literal fairy dust like in the
Yeah,
songs. And so many of those artists you mentioned like share that same quality of their music that you do, which I just think that's so cool when like everyone around you is on like a similar wavelength and it's so
yeah.
amazing.
It's such a special community to be part of. Like literally, I went to the QMAs a wee while ago, and I remember just looking around, being like, I'm so glad I live here because I moved here from like northern New South Wales, and I was just like, oh, like it's my home, and this is like the community that we're in, and these people. It's such a beautiful, gratifying feeling to be like inspired by like your friends, you know, and just like the things that they do. It's yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. I remember the QMAs. I stood there and
Yeah.
I looked around and I was like, there is so much talent, like just in this one building right now. So many people I've listened to for years, like almost like 10 years. And it was just so overwhelming to like realize how many talented people we have in our music scene, like hiding in the corners. Mainstream doesn't even realize how amazing we've got it here.
Actually, it's so special. I know. And yeah, that was where like a lot of my friendships like got a lot closer as well. Or, like I formed like a collaboration with Niche and Bree and just yeah, just it's like those little moments when everything falls into place and you're like, "Oh, this is just lovely." It's a connection. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
Lovely
And
humans.
I've got one cheeky last question for you. It's Oz Music Month. We have Oz Music T-shirt Day coming up on Thursday, the 28th. I
Yeah,
would love to know, okay, if you haven't figured it out yet, but do you know which artist you'll be repping on the day, which shirts you'll be wearing?
I do. I think it will be Greta Ray. I've got a Greta Begin to Look Around t-shirt and it's one of my favorite things and it's so comfy and it just feels like a hug and Greta inspires me in my songwriting so very much. I love her immensely. So I think it will have to be Greta.
I love that so much. And I can so clearly see the link, like your songwriting and especially the Begin to Look Around album. That's like, that matches up so well.
That makes me so happy. Thank you. I love her.
She is absolutely amazing. And that Aria's performance where she jumped on the
Um,
Missy Higgins track.
I I'm shook. That whole performance, everyone on stage up there. I'm just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
incredible. Angie and Greta and Missy and all in the same vicinity. I just wow.
Yes.
Musical
That was
heroes.
so good. Well, thank you for having a chat with us today. And everyone, go listen to Serendipity. Go support your local meanjin artists and music scene.
So much. Thank you so much for chatting. It's been so gorgeous, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.